Hey everyone, welcome back to Gastromania. Today, we are going to be sharing a famous Hakka dish known as steamed pork belly with preserved mustard greens or梅菜扣肉. This dish is very widely known in the Chinese community, partly because of the many steps involved in this dish. Today, we are going to be breaking down each step clearly so that you too can make this dish at home easily. Without further ado, let's get right into this recipe. First, we have to blanch the meat. To help remove the gamey smell from the pork belly, we are adding additional ingredients to the water. We have 5 stalks of spring onions but only the white part. Leave the green part for garnishing later on. 1 star anise, 2 bay leaves, 6 slices of ginger, I'm using about 700 grams of pork belly for this dish. You may need to adjust the amount of other ingredients added depending on the amount of pork you are using. Add the pork belly when the water starts to boil. Additionally, add 3 tablespoons of cooking wine. Boil the pork belly for about 10 minutes until it looks cooked from the outside. Remove the pork belly and set it aside to cool down. In the meantime, we can start preparing the preserved mustard greens. I'm using about 150 grams and a mixture of the salty and sweet types. We soak the preserved mustard greens and wash it. The preserved mustard greens can be quite salty if you do not soak them. You must repeat this a few times until the water runs clear. Now look at this water, it's still pretty dirty even after rinsing it twice. Preserved vegetables like these tend to be exposed to open air during the processing and selling, so it can get quite dirty. But no worries, just keep rinsing them until the water runs clear and we can consume them safely. Next, cut off the hard base of the preserved mustard greens. It's the stem part and it's quite hard, making it quite inedible. Chop the preserved mustard greens into smaller pieces. For the ingredients to be fried with the preserved vegetables, we have 4 shallots chopped finely as an aromatic, 10 grams of ginger chopped finely as an aromatic, 10 cloves of garlic cut into half as an aromatic as well, 10 grams of cinnamon stick, 1 star anise, 1 bay leaf, 20 grams of rock sugar. You can adjust the amount of rock sugar added based on your preference for sweetness. Next, wipe dry the cooled pork belly. We will tenderize the pork so that the flavors can be absorbed into it more easily. You can use a meat tenderizer like this, or something else sharp like a fork or knife will do as well. First, tenderize the skin side. Make sure that the holes left on the skin are deep. Then, tenderize the meat side. This will make sure that the dark soy sauce flavor gets into the meat more easily. After tenderizing the meat, apply a layer of dark soy sauce around the pork belly. The quality of the dark soy sauce used will directly impact the flavor of this dish, so be sure to use a higher grade type for this dish. Also, please take note that if there's hair on the skin of the pork belly, you should press the skin side of the pork belly onto a heated wok beforehand and it will fall off easily. This should be done before anything. After that, it's time to head to the stove. Fry the pork belly at medium heat until the skin crispens up. cover the wok to prevent oil spattering. Fry all sides of the pork belly until the colour sets into the meat. Then, prepare an ice bath for the pork belly beforehand. We will quench the pork belly into the ice bath directly after the frying process. In the meantime, we can prepare the preserved mustard greens. Fry the preserved mustard greens without oil for about 5 minutes to expel all the water. Then, add some vegetable oil for frying the remaining ingredients. Fry the shallots and ginger until they get fragrant. Then, fry the garlic until they get fragrant. Fry the cinnamon stick and star anise until they are all fragrant. Now that the fragrance of all the aromatics are released, add the rock sugar and mix everything together. And lastly, add in the bay leaf at the end. Add 1 tablespoon of cooking wine. Set the fried preserved mustard greens aside for later use. Back to the pork belly. Wipe dry the pork belly and remove as much water and moisture as you can. Slice the pork belly roughly into 1 cm thick pieces. Then, prepare some sauce for the pork slices for extra flavour and colouring. We will be using 1 tablespoon of Chiho sauce or 柱侯酱, 1 tablespoon of light soy sauce, 1 tablespoon of cooking wine, a dash of white pepper powder, half a teaspoon of 5-spice powder. Please take note to not add too much of the 5-spice powder as it can be quite overpowering. Mix the sauce evenly. Then, dip each slice into the sauce and coat it with a thick layer of the sauce. Arrange the marinated meats neatly into a steaming bowl. Top it up with the prepared mustard greens and cover the meat. Press it down to make sure that it's compact. Pour the remaining sauce over everything. And with that, we can head over to steam the dish. Make sure that the water is boiling before steaming. Then, steam it at high heat for at least 2.5 hours. If possible, you should try to steam it longer. The longer it's steamed, the more flavour seeps into the meat and the more tender the meat gets. Okay, it's been 2.5 hours. Remove the steaming bowl. Cover the top of the steaming bowl with a plate and pour it 90 degrees on the side. Pour out all the excess sauces coming from the steaming bowl and collect it. Collect the sauce in a bowl. We are going to be thickening the sauce so that this dish will have a shine to it. You can actually skip this step, it's not essential and it's more for aesthetics. Pour the sauce back into a wok and bring the sauce to a boil. Once it starts to boil, thicken the sauce with some cornstarch solution. Add it in steps so that you can accurately control the thickness. Once the sauce reaches your desired thickness, we can collect the sauce and plate the dish. Plate the dish by inverting the bowl onto the plate. Remove the bowl carefully and everything should come out in a hemispherical shape. drizzle the thickened sauce over the meat. Wow, it looks really shiny and makes the dish more presentable. To add some color to this dish, garnish it with some spring onions. And this dish is completed! Ah, the umami dark soy sauce flavour smells extremely inviting. The meat is sure to be extremely tender after such a long steaming process. Definitely a dish that is suitable for young children and the elderly. It keeps me going back for more rice. Try it today! And we have come to the end of today's episode. If you enjoyed this somewhat complicated recipe, consider hitting the like button to support our channel. Subscribe to our channel for weekly recipes, cooking tips and tricks. Follow us on our Instagram account to check out our latest activities. And I'll catch you in my next video.